Australia is a nation of arts graduates. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee and I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au. It's discussing the recent changes that have been announced to university education and how essentially certain degrees are going to become a lot cheaper and others will become much more expensive. And, of course, written by a journalism student, there's a positive spin. Humanities graduates earn more than those who study science and maths. Wow. That's bloody terrible, everyone. Just think about that. And I'll just bring up one of my favorite websites and let me know if you can guess which one it's going to be. So this is the Observatory of Economic Complexity. And yes, I know I refer to it often, but it is important. Every time I bring this up, this is the first time someone's ever encountered this. This number here, negative 0.93, and the rank of 73rd out of 170 countries in the database is the complexity of Australia's economy. It shows, with regards to our trade, how advanced we are as a nation, what we're producing and what we're exporting. We're a quarry. We're a quarry and a farm that produces and sends off raw materials. Even if some of them are actually value-added or refined here in Australia, it's often done by foreign-owned companies, but that's a completely different topic. But you can see here what we're exporting. We're not a technologically advanced nation. All the advanced things that we use, a big portion of them, let's have a look at our cars, let's see where they're imported from. All of these things are imported. They're all imported. Fortunately, there you go, Japan, Germany, US, South Korea. Let's look at our broadcasting equipment. I think we'll all know where that's coming from. It's imported from overseas. A lot of it from China. China is our biggest source of imports and our biggest destination for our exports. So the fact that we're having an article here arguing for the humanities graduates are earning more is concerning for a number of reasons. And, well, let's just have a look. One is it screams to me a lack of it is further evidence that our economy isn't very advanced with regards to our technical or manufacturing capability. Another person left a comment on a previous video, just graduated from chemistry, could not get a job in Australia, went overseas. I studied with a whole heap of industrial designers. I lived with one, I had a roommate. QUT is one of the few universities that had industrial design. Most of them have to go offshore. There's hardly anything here in Australia. So, arts degrees may soon cost as much as studying medicine thanks to a shake-up of uni fees, but not all STEM graduates have above-average job outcomes. And I'd say that is more an indication of the state of our nation. So we'll scroll through all of this first, and we'll just have a look at this chart. This is the most important one. So the median full-time salary for university graduates. Medicine's the highest, then dentistry, not surprising. Engineering, good, a lot in the mining. Law and paralegal services, they're doing quite well. Law, though, is very competitive. There are a lot of people that do law, a lot more people that do law than imagine. Computing and information systems. Pharmacy, that's just surprising. I'm hearing things that it's no longer the moneymaker it used to be. Rehabilitation. Health services and support. Business management. Social work. Nursing. Teacher education. Psychology, humanities, culture, and social. So how many of these, we'll say, definitely medicine, how many of these are generally in the private sector or the public sector? Think about social work and nursing and humanities. Why are social workers earning more than science and mathematics graduates? Or those of us in the built environment, architecture and built environment? Or even agriculture and environment, everyone. What does that say for our nation? And the poor nurses in the union, they're always crying poor. Don't think so, not without starting graduate wage. What do you reckon? Everyone says we're a research nation. Australia needs to, embrace new technology. We import everything. Nothing's manufactured here. Oh, we need to do manufacturing, everyone's saying. Australians won't pay extra for it. We don't have the population. We won't be able to compete. And our wages are insanely high. if you really want manufacturing, we're going to have to make some drastic changes in our nation to be competitive. So, significant changes to university fees have been announced to drive students to study certain courses with a focus on jobs, but not all STEM graduates have above average employment outcomes. And I won't even talk about the gender bias in some of these degrees. Education Minister Dan Tehan announced changes today to funding rates for university courses as part of a plan to create job-ready graduates. He said projections prepared before the pandemic show that over the 5 years to 2024, it is expected that the overwhelming majority of new jobs will require tertiary qualifications, and almost half of all new jobs will go to someone with a bachelor or higher qualification. This is just degree inflation, everyone. What people used to be able to do with a TAFE certificate or with a high school degree, you now need a bachelor degree. Even my degree, my university, I've got 2 bachelors. I've got a Bachelor of Built Environment and Architectural Studies, and I have a Bachelor of Architecture. Now that Bachelor of Architecture has evolved into a Master's. Oh, they must be learning so much more. Nope, they're not. But you know what the difference is for the university? It costs more. You can charge more for a Master's than you can for a Bachelor. That's the reason. That is the reason. Their dissertations are shorter than what we had to do. The quality of education has gone down at university level, but even at high school level. We can see here just the decline in Australian results. No wonder we're all heading to the humanities. What opportunities are there in the sciences and maths? Under the new plan, students doing teaching, nursing, clinical psychology, English and languages will pay 46% less for their degree from next year. Students in agriculture and maths will pay 62% less, while those studying science, health, architecture, environmental science, IT, and engineering will be 20% better off. But the students' contribution for the humanities will go up 113%, and the cost for law and commerce will jump 28%. The rationale is to encourage students to select courses with the best employment outcomes. Mr. Tian said healthcare is projected to make the largest contributions to employment growth, followed by science and technology, education, and construction. He said those industries are projected to provide 62% of total employment growth over the next 5 years. Although there will be no change in course fees for medical, dental, and veterinarian science students. With a forecast rise in unemployment due to the pandemic, Mr. Tehan is expecting more young people to go to university and others to return to reskill. National figures show 93% of graduates who are available for work are employed 3 years after completing their bachelor degree. Yeah, but how many of them in the actual field? How many of them are employed 3 years later? I mean, that's 3 years. Within 3 years, they've gotten a job. How many of them have given up? I know people who study with me who couldn't find a job in architecture. I know some of the international students that were just pushed through the whole course with group work, didn't have the English skills at the end, and they wanted to find a job here. It's crazy. It's cruel in some ways. It's cruel. It really is. While science, technology, engineering, and maths graduates are a focus of his reforms, not all STEM graduates have above average employment outcomes. After 3 years, the overall employment rate of engineering graduates is 95%, while science and maths graduates have a 90% rate of overall employment. Science and maths graduates actually earn less than those with a degree in the humanities. So which university students get jobs? Undergraduates who study psychotherapy and occupational therapy have the highest level of employment at 98.8%, 3 years after finishing their bachelor degree, with creative arts graduates the lowest at 89.3%. Of these study areas where the government is proposing students contribute more, law graduates and business at 95 are employed at rates above the average. Humanities are employed at rates of 91.1% above science and maths. The median salary for university graduates differs as well. After 3 years, medicine graduates earn the most, 100 grand, with dentistry graduates at 97. See, this is not what you get out of uni in architecture. This is, at 68,000. I don't know why people think architects earn so much money, particularly as employee. It's terrible. It's terrible. As the graph above shows, humanities and social science graduates at 70,000 earn more than maths and science graduates. So will reforms help the pandemic class of 2020. It is unclear whether the reforms will help school leavers facing an uncertain future. During a recession, many people look to study while the employment market remains weak. In his speech, he said, "We know that people turn to education during economic downturns, and we know the Costello baby boom generation will begin to finish school from 2023. Wow, that's scary. They're all getting old. I still remember when I was tutoring at university, and we had to, we're teaching people how to model up in software, and they had to model up Star Wars ships, and none of them knew the original episodes. They only knew the new ones, the new movies. So that's when I knew I was old. That's when I knew. Then I started growing the beard, and it went grey that day. In 2017, the Australian government effectively put a cap on university places after 5 years of demand-driven funding, where government essentially funded the amount of places students were enrolled in. In practice, this means there are now limits on the number of government subsidies places at universities. Well, class sizes increased significantly, and the quality that you get probably dropped off the cliff. I know that just comparing what I received to what people are getting now in my education, or to what we got to what happened what people received in the past. Because of demographics and previous growth in enrollments, the cap was not expected to restrict the number of people going to university until 2023. But the pandemic means these assumptions may no longer apply. Normally, school leavers follow a number of pathways into the workforce, including going straight to work or studying a university or vocational education and training course first. Most young people take the university pathway. However, these school leavers don't start their courses at the same time. Around 20 to 25% of school leavers who go to university before working take a gap year. Travel restrictions and a weaker employment market may mean this year's school leavers will bring forward their study plans. I mean, the one advantage in my architectural degree that I did at QUT was it was designed so all of the coursework was compressed on one day. It was flexible full-time. So we had a 9 to 9 or 8 to 9 day, a long day. And then you had 4 days where you were required to get work in the profession. So you came out having only ever dated architecture girls, but you had work experience. You had years of work experience. People were raising families. You had all the students coming back to do architecture degrees that could because of that flexibility. And of course they turfed it. Their one point of difference, they got rid of it, which is quite sad. It was quite sad, but the problem was none of the international students could find jobs, so they couldn't do those degrees, so it affected their funding. There may also be more school leavers who choose to study at university instead of entering the workforce directly after school. For instance, 44% of 18 and 19-year-olds who are not studying work in retail, accommodation, and food services trade. These industries have suffered large job losses because of the pandemic. A reduction in new apprenticeships and traineeships, fewer jobs, and high youth unemployment means school leavers may look to enroll in education and training. Before the pandemic hit, the number of Year 12 students was only projected to go up by around 1 to 2% in the next few years, meaning minimal demand for extra university places. However, due to the pandemic, there already has been a reported doubling of Year 12 students in New South Wales applying for university courses compared to the same time last year. Well, this is fantastic. No problem. We've got a tremendous shortage of international students, so there you go, you've got capacity. Boom, right there. The government believes 39,000 extra university places will be created by 2023 because of these changes. But this number is not specifically designed to meet a projected increase in demand because of the pandemic. Therefore, it is unclear, without the government lifting the cap, whether there will be enough funded university places for school leavers whose plans have been displaced by the pandemic. Well, what do you think, everyone? What's more concerning from this is that we're a nation of social workers, humanities, and bedpan industry, and not a bunch of scientists, builders, and inventors. But that aligns with the arguments I've been making for some time about the complexity of our economy. And that's a challenge that we all need to face. What do you think, everyone? What do you think? Are you planning to go back to university? Do you want to retrain? Or is just the politically correct social justice environment that it has become mean you couldn't jump through the hoops? I don't think I could jump through the hoops anymore. I think I'm too old and too set in my ways. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you think this will drive more people to make smarter choices with their study? Or Or will it mean they'll just make the same choice anyway and just be stuck with more fees? One thing with architecture that a lot of people don't realize, you don't actually need a university degree. You can do the work and then just apply to the board to become a registered architect. It's difficult. Few people do it. You need a lot of experience, but it is possible. It is possible. Maybe we need to look at ways where the government steps out of issuing these monopoly organizations or freeing up the bodies that can provide this education. Why does it cost so much? Why does it cost tens of thousands of dollars, particularly when you get high quality education online for virtually nothing? We'll see. We will see. As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via using our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I will see you next time.